Helping the homeless and low-income residents in San Diego County. The plan to make millions of dollars available for an affordable housing trust fund.
We continue to stand in awe of you, the survivors and the families, as you lead by example and show the world the power of love in the face of hate.
Remembering the Pulse nightclub attack 1 year ago and the communities taking a stand against violence and hate.
You know what I heard? I heard the enemy likes to steal the dogs, right? Just strap bombs on them. Send them back to their owner.
Well, since Rex can break someone's arm with his teeth, I'm not too worried.
A rare story about a woman Marine and a combat dog. The bond forged during wartime. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Our top story tonight is San Diego City Council members voted down a plan to hold a special election in November. The 5-4 vote will likely push voter decisions on expanding the convention center and redeveloping the Qualcomm Stadium property to late next year. Tonight we have team coverage. We start with KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen. He's outside of City Hall. Andrew, what happened this afternoon?
Ebony, today the council, as you said, voted against holding a special election this November. It was a long meeting. There were hours of public comment. And essentially the council was voting on two issues, whether to call a special election in November and whether to place the mayor's hotel room tax increase on that special election. Supporters of his plan say that the cost of expanding the convention center is going up every year and that it's safer and more fiscally responsible to hold this election now and get it decided sooner rather than later. Opponents said that homelessness and affordable housing are more important issues for the voters to weigh in on, and they should be the focus of a tax measure, not the convention center. Another argument we heard against the mayor's plan was that simply it wasn't ready for the ballot, that there was too much organized opposition and there was not enough support behind what the mayor wanted to accomplish. Barbara Bree, a councilwoman from District 1, had something to say about this. Let's hear what she said.
It's hard work, and this is what we need to do to pass a successful measure. I commit to working with the mayor, my colleagues, and the community to do the hard work, to build a coalition that can get it done.
And Ebony, that gets to what's going to start happening very soon, which is work on a measure next year that will go on next year's ballot that will likely fund affordable housing and homelessness solutions. There are already people, labor unions and grassroots organizations working on that right now. And I think that's something that we could look forward to reporting on next year.
So, Andrew, is this a done deal? Is there any chance that council members could call a special election, say if someone were to change his or her mind?
Well, Ebony, that's exactly what would have to happen. A council member would have to change their mind and come out in support of the election. If they were to hold a second vote on holding an election on the exact same day, November 7th, they would need 6 votes instead of 5. Today, they only got 4. If they wanted to hold an election on a separate day for maybe a separate issue, that could also be a potential, that could also happen, of course. It doesn't appear that any of the council members who opposed holding a special election this year will change their minds anytime soon. Reporting from downtown San Diego, Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Very interesting. Thank you, Andrew. The Soccer City project wasn't on the city council docket today, but it was affected by the council's special election vote. Our team coverage continues in Mission Valley, where KPBS reporter Eric Anderson joins us to talk about the issue. Eric.
Ebony, Soccer City supporters say that a special election is crucial in order to land a Major League Soccer expansion franchise. The league is going to be growing by 4 teams by the end of the year, but they want a commitment to build a stadium before they'll award that franchise. The social justice group Alliance San Diego today rallied against calls for a special election in November, saying that San Diego voters approved Measure L to have initiatives and referendums voted on during general November elections.
2/3 of the voters said They do not want special elections. They want to make the big decisions when the most people participate, and that is in the November general election. Why? Because we care about our democracy, and if we are serious about an inclusive democracy, then we need to make the decisions when the most people participate.
That no vote on the special election today does not kill the Soccer City project. Developer Nick Stone says they will still be in the city council chambers next Monday talking about the issue.
On the 19th, we're going to have hundreds and hundreds of soccer fans show up and express their very strong interest in having this project go through. And some of them will be soccer fans, and some of them will be fans of our river park and how great the river park is, or of the fact that it's actually providing good housing solutions at a place where there's a real trolley and a mass transit system.
The City Council has two options next week. They can approve a project outright, or they can put it on the next scheduled general election in 2018. If the question of a special election remains unresolved, that would also come up as a separate issue. That could happen next week, or it could happen sometime later this summer. Eric Anderson in Mission Valley, KPBS News.
Thanks, Eric. Another blow to the president's travel ban. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled against the revised executive order. It set out to limit travel from 6 predominantly Muslim countries. In a statement, the 3-judge panel wrote, "We conclude that the president, in issuing the executive order, exceeded the scope of the authority delegated to him by Congress." White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer says they're reviewing the ruling.
I think we can all attest that these are very dangerous times, and we need every available tool at our disposal to prevent terrorists from entering the United States and committing acts of bloodshed and violence. We continue to be confident that the president's executive order to protect this country is fully lawful and ultimately will be upheld by the Supreme Court.
The administration has already appealed another ruling against the ban to the Supreme Court, which is likely to consider the cases in tandem. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer will be traveling to D.C. this week. He'll be joined by Tijuana Mayor Juan Manuel Gastelum. Together, they'll campaign for free and open trade between their countries and advocate for the San Diego-Tijuana mega region. The mayor's office says they're scheduled to meet with officials from the Department of Homeland Security, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Residents in El Cajon will have their first chance this week to speak with state officials about a chemical vapor seeping into their mobile homes. The chemical is TCE, and it has links to birth defects, reproductive issues for men, and kidney cancer. TCE is in the groundwater in the area. It's remnants from an aerospace manufacturing plant. The meeting is scheduled for Wednesday night at the Magnolia Elementary School. San Diego County has a cash reserve of nearly $2 billion. Today, 2 county supervisors announced a plan to tap into that for an affordable housing trust fund.
So we're thinking big, $25 million big, and that is a big deal.
The fact that they're creating it as a trust fund is really encouraging, because that's a new mechanism here at the county, and if we continue to replenish it, and if it's a revolving loan fund, then it actually could generate far more than just $25 million worth of good. So I think it's a huge step forward that they're taking money out of reserves to address a very pressing problem.
The money could bring more than $100 million to the region through housing tax credits. The county needs about 140,000 units at a cost that far exceeds $100 million. The supervisors will vote on the proposal next Tuesday. San Diego doctors say a certain type of cancer is being overdiagnosed. KPBS science reporter David Wagner has more.
Appendix cancer is diagnosed in fewer than 1,000 Americans every year. But researchers at UC San Diego say many of them could be getting the wrong diagnosis. For a new study, Dr. Mark Valasek and his colleagues reviewed dozens of cases, and they found that about 30% of patients were initially told they had a worse case of appendix cancer than they actually had.
We saw that a lot of the cases that were diagnosed as a more severe form of cancer were actually kind of an intermediate or low-grade form of cancer, and so they may not need as much follow-up treatment.
Valasek says there's a need to standardize diagnosis criteria because overdiagnosis could lead to aggressive and unnecessary treatment. David Wagner, KPBS News.
This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm all right song.
Hundreds of people honored the victims of last year's shooting at a gay nightclub in Orlando with songs, prayers, and flowers. 49 people were killed. Dozens more were injured. The club's owners plan to open a memorial at the site.
It breaks my heart that your sanctuary was taken from you. But I know we are resilient, and I know we will not let hate win. I know we'll create Pulse in a new location for all of us, so we will reserve this sacred ground for our angels.
Memorials continue tonight in San Diego. There is a vigil at the San Diego LGBT Center in Hillcrest, and the North County LGBTQ Resource Center will also hold a memorial tonight. Center leaders say it's a call to action. They want all communities to come together. They say it's important to speak out against violence and hate speech.
We can always prevent this kind of tragedy, but we can definitely manage the way we are answering to those tragedies, how we respond to it. So the call to action will be registering people to vote. It will be getting people to be more active with the community that they prefer to work with, volunteering, stay awake and aware, and making sure that any attempt and any rhetorics of hate and discrimination can be addressed and defeated.
Supporters of LGBT rights marched in San Diego and dozens of other U.S. cities this weekend. Community members marched from Balboa Park to the county administration building. They celebrated gains for equality, and they fired back at threats to those advances. The Equality March in Washington, D.C. was endorsed by virtually every major national advocacy group working on behalf of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Americans. Coming up on PBS NewsHour, 2 attorney generals on the East Coast are taking President Trump to court over his possible conflicts of interest.
We are a nation of laws, and no one, including the President of the United States, is above the law. No one, not even the President, can be allowed to endanger our democracy and erode our faith in our institutions. But just as at the time they're needed the most, traditional checks and balances are failing us. First, by not divesting from his businesses, the President has chosen to put himself and our country in the situation we find ourselves today.
And how President Trump's withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement drove the top U.S. diplomat in China to quit. That's tonight on PBS NewsHour, starting at 7, right here on KPBS. Poor communities along the U.S.-Mexico border are already faced with limited access to water. Recent reports revealed rising temperatures caused by climate change would make things worse. From our Fronteras Desk youth reporter Daniel Salinas from Las Cruces High School looks at life for those who might be hit the hardest.
90% of New Mexicans get their drinking water from the ground. It's a supply fed by melting snowpacks from mountains, rivers, and streams. But with rising temperatures and warmer and shorter snow seasons, less of that water is making it into the aquifer. To keep up with plummeting water levels, municipal and private wells are getting drilled deeper and deeper into the earth. This one in Las Cruces, New Mexico, is going down 160 feet. For people living in low-income communities along the U.S.-Mexico border known as colonias, that's not a viable option. Many residents depend on shallow wells dug by hand.
People here, they know how to do it, so they do it by hand.
Resident Maria Covernali says when she finally struck water 25 feet below her home near El Paso, Texas, she and her family couldn't drink the water because it was not safe. They used it to shower and do laundry until they realized it wasn't even good for that.
The clothes was like turning yellow.
And that's a minor problem compared to health concerns. A University of Texas Health Impact study reported high concentrations of arsenic and nitrates in many Colonia's water supplies. They also found higher than normal rates of waterborne diseases among Colonia's residents. Many reported cases of diarrhea, dysentery, and skin lesions.
We used to take a shower with that water too, but the skin was with a lot of rashes. I even have, scars from that. That's what a doctor told me. Well, you're gonna have that all your life just because of the water. I said, oh my God.
Municipal water systems can treat these impurities. Governali says many residents bought land from developers with assurances that it would eventually be piped into nearby water systems.
The developers take advantage of the people. After we start living on the land, we see the problems that we face.
A lot of people living in colonias have to haul in their water in tanks or buy bottled water. And some scientists are concerned climate change is going to leave more people without access to running water. William Hargrove is Director for the Environmental Resource Management at the University of Texas, El Paso.
Well, they're very vulnerable in terms of climate change. During very hot and dry times, maybe the water table drops. It could drop below their intake, and they could be without water for a time period during the hottest time of the summer. People living in colonias and living in rural areas, they're also living kind of in the context of also agriculture, irrigated agriculture. Farmers are also pumping water to apply to their crops, and makes people who have a domestic well vulnerable.
Pecans, alfalfa, and cotton are all thirsty crops grown in Chamberino, New Mexico, where Patrick Marquez lives with his family. Marquez says his well runs dry for a couple weeks every year while the farmers are pumping water out of the aquifer.
Thank God to my neighbors that, I've been able to run a garden hose to give me water so at least my kids can take a shower and, we can use the facilities.
According to the Housing Assistance Council Community Report, the Marquez and Governali families are just some of the 1.5 million people living along the border who depend on vulnerable water supplies.
I'm living here in the United States of America, so I'm supposed to have water.
A few years ago, Governali decided to take matters into her own hands, starting Familias Triunfadoras, a nonprofit to organize residents and effect change. And she's had some success getting developers to follow through on agreements to pipe water into colonias. She's also secured housing and urban development grants to build water infrastructure.
And I said, no more. I have to do something for me, for my kids, and for the community.
Marquez says he conserves water where he can, but he says it might be for naught if farmers aren't willing to plant more water-efficient crops. Unlike large-scale farmers, Marquez says he can't afford to keep digging deeper wells.
It is falling on the average person because, we're the ones that are going to suffer. More people need to be aware of the water situation. They need to conserve. I'd have to think of the welfare of my children.
A NASA climate study projects Southwest water will only be diminished further with an even harsher drought projected in the next 30 years. Reporting from Las Cruces, New Mexico, I'm Daniel Salinas.
San Diego skies have cleared. Here's a look at the San Diego Bay. No clouds in sight, and it looks like we'll be seeing a lot more sun this week. Regina Miller has tonight's forecast.
As we take a look here across the area, not much going on. You can see a little bit of spotty shower activity there showing up offshore, but as we widen the view out, we've had this upper level disturbance that has kept things cool across Southern California through the weekend. We will see it heating up, though, as we go into late this week. And for tonight, 60 degrees. We have partly cloudy skies in the metro areas, and across Borrego Springs, you're at 58. Mount Laguna's at 42 for tonight. 45 55 in Ramona, and in Oceanside, we're at 52 degrees. And then for your Tuesday, we're looking at mainly dry conditions. Morning clouds will give way to sunshine around Los Angeles and San Diego as well. So looking at your forecast, after some morning low clouds, we have sunshine. San Diego's at 72 degrees. Into Ramona, you'll get to 82 degrees. Borrego Springs tops out at 96 degrees with loads of sunshine. We are going to see an offshore flow developing for the late week, so that is going to start to heat things up. So checking on the coast here, with mostly sunny skies for your Tuesday, 73 degrees, 74 and mostly sunny on Wednesday. Then for Thursday, we're at 78. 80 degrees by Friday with clear skies, mostly sunny and nice, and 78 for Saturday. Inland locations, 80 degrees for your Tuesday with clouds giving way to sunshine. Wednesday, we have plenty of sunshine. Look at things heating up here. 85 degrees, 89 by Thursday, sunshine and warm, and we're at 91 on Friday with sunny skies, 88 on your Saturday. As we go into the mountain areas, we're going to see 71 for your Tuesday. Wednesday, we warm it up to 78. We just keep jumping in temperatures here. 83 and plenty of sunshine on Thursday. Friday's at 84. Saturday's at 84 as well, with plenty of sunshine in the forecast. And in the desert locations, look at how this goes. We go to 96 for your Tuesday, plenty of sunshine. Sunny and very warm, 104 on Wednesday. We go to 109 by Thursday. Friday, we're at 110 degrees, sunny and hot as we go into the weekend. I'm Regina Miller, KPBS News.
The Tony goes to Christopher Ashley, Come From Away.
That's Christopher Ashley, artistic director of the La Jolla Playhouse, picking up his first Tony Award. Come From Away debuted at the Playhouse before heading to Broadway. It chronicles the true story of a Canadian town in Newfoundland that sheltered thousands of airline passengers who were diverted there on 9/11. This is the first Tony win for Ashley. The new film, Megan Levy, looks at two war veterans you rarely see on screen. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando speaks with the director about bringing their true story to life.
In the new film Megan Levy, Kate Mara plays a young woman who decides to join the Marines and ends up in the elite K-9 unit.
I learned about the story of Megan Levy through reading the script. I was actually very curious about the female Marine experience, just kind of how a female comes up in that world and becomes a corporal and what she had to face in the, Afghanistan, Iraq wars. Very curious about that. Also, I had worked on some of documentaries on the Iraq and Afghanistan wars in the past and never once came across the K-9 unit.
Levy! Dog up! Director Gabriella Cowperthwaite saw Levy's real-life story as an opportunity to tell a war story from a fresh perspective and to highlight the contribution of the four-legged warriors sent out in front of the front lines.
You sort of just kind of imagine that for a second, that there's just these swaths of land that need to be cleared of all bombs and IEDs before even your own troops can advance to do what they need to do. And that there's a dog in front of the handler that's doing this. That sacrifice is sort of unfathomable, and that they've been doing this since the Revolutionary War alongside us.
The movie shows how Levy and her dog Rex have to bond in order to be effective in the field.
I like that he didn't look cuddly, and I really wanted him to not look cuddly in the beginning. I wanted him to feel terrifying. Megan's a tough girl, and if she's gonna be scared, then he should be scary.
You think I'm afraid of you?
Then it just feels all the more powerful when they finally do bond.
Everything you feel goes down, Lise, okay? Everything. If you're not confident, then he's not confident. I could train the heck out of you, Levy, but I can't teach you how to bond.
On the set, actress Mara and a German shepherd named Varko had to form a similar bond.
He is a formidable beast. I mean, he's big, and you look at that jaw, and those teeth, and you're like, wow.
You know what I heard? I heard the enemy likes to steal the dogs, right? To strap bombs on them. Send them back to their owner.
Well, since Rex can break someone's arm with his teeth, I'm not too worried.
Mara bonded with her co-star after one particularly difficult scene.
Levy, check the vehicle.
And there was just all this action going on, and this idea that it all goes down leash, that concept that like whatever you're feeling is going to travel down the leash and that animal is going to sense it. She was like, it couldn't be more apt. That was right on, because he sensed I was nervous. And it's the first time I was nervous, and he stopped everything and licked her face.
The film also explores the fate of war veterans like Rex, who can have as difficult a time readjusting to civilian life as his human counterpart.
Rex is not ready to be redeployed.
It's not my call. The vet disagrees with you.
He is a different dog. He has changed.
I can't help you.
Please just change his classification so that I can adopt him when he gets back, if he gets back.
Your concern for the animal is honorable. You're devoted to him. And I understand that. And I understand why you're angry.
I'm not angry. I am trying to give a war hero home for the last few years of his life.
The film benefits from Calperthwaite's documentary experience, which allows her to ground the film in reality. By downplaying Levy's heroism and presenting her as a very real person, the film engages us with its character rather than pushing a message.
You're sensing the issue of being a female in the Marines rather than being preached to as an audience of like how hard this is and all that stuff. So yeah, I hope we backed into it.
The film's approach provides new entry points for audiences who may not have connected with more epic, male-dominated war films. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.